I've been hunting for over 20 years, and I've had my fair share of eerie moments in the woods, unexplained sounds, strange tracks, even a few encounters with things I couldn't explain. But nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to what happened that night. The woods were too quiet. It was deep in the backcountry, miles away from the nearest road. I was out hunting deer, using a tree stand I had set up near a small clearing. I'd been there for a few hours, watching and waiting. The sun had set, and the forest had slipped into that eerie nighttime silence. Except this time, the silence felt wrong. No crickets, no owls, no rustling leaves. Just dead quiet. I chalked it up to my imagination. Maybe a predator was nearby, and the smaller animals were hiding. Still, something inside me whispered that I wasn't alone. I scanned the area with my night vision scope. Nothing. Then I turned to my thermal scope, and that's when I saw him. The hunter in the clearing. About 80 yards out, a tall figure stood in the clearing. I immediately felt a wave of relief. Another hunter. Maybe a hiker. I adjusted the scope, getting a better look. But something was off. His body was pure white on my thermal, ice cold like he was made of stone. That didn't make sense. Living things give off heat. Even in the cold, there should have been some warmth, his head, his hands, anything. But this figure? Nothing. I kept watching. He wasn't moving. Just standing there, facing me. I tried to convince myself it was a tree, maybe a weirdly shaped rock. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. Then, as if to prove me right, it tilted its head. Like it knew I was watching. I reached for my rifle not to shoot, but just for comfort. My gut told me I wasn't looking at a person. Then I blinked. And he was suddenly closer. Not walking. Not running. Just closer. I froze. No way. No way. I looked back through the scope. He was now at the edge of the clearing, half the distance he'd been before. Still standing. Still staring. Still ice cold. I felt the weight of my rifle in my hands, but for the first time in my life, I had no idea what to do. My instincts screamed at me to leave. Then I heard something. Not from the clearing. From directly below my tree stand. Something was breathing below me. It was deep, ragged breathing. Right underneath me. My heart nearly stopped. I wanted to move. I wanted to look. But I couldn't. I was too scared. Then I remembered something. The figure in the clearing? It had never made a sound. I finally forced myself to glance down. And nothing was there. But the breathing? It was still happening. Right. Below. Me. I had two choices. Stay and pray it went away, or get the hell out of there. I swung my rifle down and fired into the ground. Instantly the breathing stopped. And from the clearing, a voice whispered, "That won't help." I didn't even look. I grabbed my bag, slung my rifle, and jumped out of the stand, hitting the ground so hard my knees nearly buckled. Then I ran. Branches whipped against my face, my breath came in sharp gasps, but I didn't stop. I didn't dare look behind me. I ran until I reached my truck, practically throwing myself inside and locking the doors. For a long time, I just sat there, gripping the steering wheel, heart pounding. Finally, I worked up the courage to check my thermal scope one last time. The clearing was empty, but right behind my truck, a faint, cold silhouette, watching. I never went back. I don't know what I saw that night. Maybe it was a ghost. Maybe it was something much, much worse. All I know is this, I never hunted in those woods again. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. It really helps the channel grow. Thanks for listening to Hidden Thread Teller. See you in the next one.